All right. Theme of this video is know your equipment. It could also be called clean your dang rifle, especially if you have a new rifle. So, quick story time here. I'm out hunting coyotes at night with a thermal with a buddy. It's his very first time out. I'm no expert. I've only been out a handful of times, but I've been coyote hunting in the daylight for years. But the first season with the thermal. Anyway, we get out and we start calling, and we're kind of both on each side of a rock pile in the middle of a field. And he's got a coyote coming in, and it's coming in perfect, and it gets about 40-50 yards, and all I hear is this, and then I hear this, and the coyote took off. And then a little bit later, I had moved around the other side of the rock pile because there was some that were coming in behind us, and I ended up shooting two back there. And then a little bit later, again, I hear the coyotes coming in, and I hear this. And I'm like, what in the heck? So I end up moving around the other side of the rock pile with him, and because the third one came in a little bit later, and I ended up shooting that one. But we start looking, wondering what's going on. He thought maybe he just didn't get he's shooting an AR, by the way, if we can't tell from this bullet carrier group. Although this is not the one from that rifle. This is one from one of my rifles. But anyway, he's shooting an AR. And it's a pretty new gun. He shot it a few times at the range and zeroing it and zeroing the thermal on it. But mostly in 60 to 70 degree weather. Well, the other night it was like 25 degrees, and that should give you a little bit of clue as what the problem might have been. So we get to tearing it apart, and so see the firing pin, how it's got to come up through the bolt face like that. When you pull the trigger, the hammer hits the firing pin, it sends it through the bolt face with some force, hits the primer, and that ignites it. Well, you can see how it's on this one. It's pretty loose in there. In his case, it took just pushing on it with your finger. It took a little bit of force to actually move the thing, and then it would just stay stuck wherever you left it. And there was this thicker oil grease all over the bolt carrier group, and it was really pretty gummy. And I think what happened was that at that oil or grease at 70 degrees is just fine. That's why it shot fine at the range. But then you get it out at 20 and 25 degree weather, and it doesn't act the same. It thickens up, and now you got kind of a sludge in there creating resistance. And I pull this thing apart and just look at how this is supposed to work. So the firing pin goes in through the bolt, through this channel here, and comes out the bolt face. And you see it's supposed to be nice and loose in there. This firing pin actually free floats. Well, in his case, there's so much thick sludge inside there and on the firing pin itself that it didn't have enough energy to move fast enough through that channel to hit the primer with any sort of force to ignite it. So we took it apart, cleaned it all up, and then it shot, and it was fine. What I like to use on my ARs especially in the winter is this Slip 2000 Extreme Weapons Lubricant. If you could see in here, there we go, right there. Temperatures from -110 to 1250 Fahrenheit. That's a pretty big range, and that -110 should cover you in any sort of weather you're going to find on this planet. So it works really good. You don't lubricate the firing pin. I don't ever put anything on the firing pin itself. Maybe some people do. I kind of hope not. It's unnecessary. The only places that I really lubricate is where, the wear spots. I might put a little on the backside of the bolt lugs, and of course on the cam pin because that moves. And then, of course, on the places where it actually rides inside the receiver, like on this ridge and this ridge, and maybe a little bit up here, you can see it tends to contact the upper in these spots too. So just a little bit there, and that's all you really need. Maybe a little bit on the same mating surfaces inside the upper receiver, but that's about it. So yeah, know your stuff. Make sure it's actually going to work before you go out in the dark and in the cold. Um, and I will leave you with that thought, and also with one of my first from the other night. I was able to get some footage of one of my kills on that rock pile set. So enjoy that.